Thanks, Wobbs.
You're on, kid.
Okay, everybody. Thanks for that. We're back with another Talk Moto show. Wobbs paid £7 for that, by the way.
I did.
For those of you who just heard that,
I
didn't see it.
We use it.
Insist to use it. Thanks, everybody, for the support so far. We've got Roger Harvey in. We're going to talk to Roger in a minute. HRC advisor.
Advisor, we've just been told.
Yeah, that's a great title. Before we do that,
I would call him the Grand Fromage.
I've got many names for Roger. In fact,
Big cheese.
I'd just like to point out, not only Roger supported me when I was a racer, but also I always looked up to his moustache as well. It's between him and Bob Wright, I think, who had the best Burt Reynolds look.
70s porn star moustache.
Yeah.
Had the lot.
Yeah. The Burt Reynolds of 70s motocross.
Yeah.
Moving into the 80s.
Can I just jump in there?
Please do.
Am I allowed?
You can jump in whenever you want.
Don't
You were
interrupt,
younger
kid,
when I saw you in 1990 than you
Yes.
do now.
It was the mysterious case of Benjamin
Benjamin
Button.
Button.
Yeah. I've actually, I've always had a weathered look about me, Rog.
Yes, I know. When Gordon Jones said to me, he said, "Oh, I've seen that. You know that little old boy who looks like an old. He looks like an old boy, doesn't he?"
I had crow's feet at the age of
Perry.
12. There you go.
right.
Before we get into it, Rog, I'm really looking forward to that. Once again, Wobbs, these guys,
Yeah, we've had some new Doc White gloves come through.
yeah, look.
The orange, which
for
is
those of you that are watching,
not
listening,
motorcycle brand specific. These are just thicker, better. You can keep them on all day if you want. They're ace.
these
I'll be the
are,
first to criticise, but I do wear them because I get my delicate hands nowadays.
well, these new orange ones are a bit more industrial,
Yeah,
basically.
they're ribbed. They're
more-
ribbed for your pleasure.
Yeah. Glad you said that.
Hey,
In that case, I should be taking some home. Right. On that note, shall we get cracking?
yeah, no, smack on. They're very good.
Right, Mr. Roger Harvey, it's great to have you here. Obviously, a wealth of wisdom. But we're going to talk about, in this first episode, your riding career. I certainly would like to know more about that because I only really got to know you personally, obviously, when you were out in the industry and not finished your racing. So how did it all start? I mean, everybody's got a starting point. It's a regular question we ask on this show because
Yeah.
we're always intrigued. Was it?
My old man had a motorbike shop, and he supported a local guy called Tom Ledbetter. In fact, he was coming home from a dinner dance one night, Saturday night, and saw Tom Ledbetter working away on his bike at 1 o'clock in the morning and said, come on down and see me, So he supported him. I started riding the bikes about 8 years old, playing in my granddad's field on a BSA Bantam. Yes, you'll remember them.
Glory days. I do remember them.
I do, yeah.
Sat
Yeah,
on
they
one
were
of them,
all.
never ridden.
Yeah, a lot of people used them before proper schoolboys
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
There weren't no schoolboys in them days, so I kept the pressure on to try and race. I've got to race.
So where would you race if there's no schoolboys on?
Well, that was a problem. That's what we were facing.
Okay.
I need to race. And anyway, there was a race coming up at Knifton in Ashbourne, and I hadn't got a bike. Bear in mind now, I'm 14. I'm 14, coming up 15 in a couple
So
of
what
months.
year would this be? Sorry.
66, sorry.
All right, so we can all work out his age.
So, yeah.
Lovely.
It's a good year, 66.
So I was 14, and the only bike available was Tom had two bikes, Triumph Matisses, and one was a 650, one was a 500. And they said, you just ride the 500 for the one race. 14,
That's
I
a
was a
lump.
dot.
That's a lump of a thing.
That's a big old thing.
That's a lump of a thing to ride.
So we managed 1 or 2 practices, and I could ride it. I could kick it up, and I could get it round. Surprisingly, because I wasn't a big fella, I was just a real little fella at that time. And got on this 500 Triumph Matisse, and Tom he's got to get out the start. This is my first race. You've got to get out the start. Got to get out the start. Get away from him. They think he was juniors
Got a point.
or something. Yeah. So I was full of it. And 3 stone wet through on a 500 Triumph Matisse, she went out the start.
You're going to get the gate.
First corner, I come into the first corner, end over end. No. And then we arrived at the first problem. I couldn't pick it up. I wasn't strong enough. Couldn't pick it up off the floor. And the marshal come and picked me up, and we got it going. I could start it up, and just went on. And so that was it. Knifed at Ashbourne, and then I got to ride the next day, and because I got them on the hook then. No schoolboy. So for 3 years I was 16, and people knew I wasn't 16. I broke my foot at place called Clifton and like, how old are you? 16, yeah, ACU license. 16, yeah, 16 for 3 years.
Been drafted up like, for the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I got started. And then they got me a bike, a 200 Cub, Triumph Tiger Cub. They put me on that for a bit, the old man, and then it was 250 BSA. Then the 250 BSA had a Victor frame, which made it handle a lot better. Oh, no. Then, but there were like Greaves Challengers and Dots and that about, and they were fast, like, compared with my...
The contrast back then between bikes and how some would obviously have elements where they'd be so much... Not like now, let's be honest, most manufacturers' bikes now are all pretty close, pretty similar.
Yeah,
All good,
absolutely.
aren't they? No bad.
But
Absolutely.
then the contrast, like...
Oh, massive difference. Massive
Huge.
difference. Yeah. And this one was the original 250 BSA he was made in my dad's workshop, or in the shop. But it wasn't as fast as the Greaves and the Dots.
When you say made, obviously you'd buy forks and
Yeah,
shocks
yeah,
and
yeah,
wheels. You'd
yeah,
buy stuff,
different. Yeah, you put the stuff on Sirianis and things like that. I think I was lucky enough to have a set of Sirianis, but to get a set of forks from Italy was a major task. To get all this stuff together, and then because it wasn't fast enough, and I was complaining. I was saying I need it faster. So my old man, being the engineer he was, he bought it out to 280. Huh? So I rode this 250. This 280 in the 250 class.
It's all coming out now, isn't it?
And she was like the old Greaves Challengers, I could spit
Confession
alongside of them up a straight and that, yeah. So and then we sold it to a grass track rider, and he used it for years to come in the 250 class. He had a load of money out of the job.
Oh, nice.
Did a good job. So then 440 BSA went from 250 to 440. By this time on the 440, I was 15, so... It was, they worry about putting kids up early.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Coming up on 85s and 65s and
they're
all
talking
that.
about now, should they be on a 250, so young?
Yeah, exactly.
You're riding around on a 440, let's be honest, agricultural vehicle probably.
Yeah, 4 inches of travel, 100 mil of travel and back and front.
But then if everybody's on those same bikes, it's racing,
It's racing,
isn't it?
just
it's
the
not
same.
like you're against a modern bike on one of those.
No.
So if you're all on it,
yeah,
you're all racing.
it's
just racing, isn't it? Yeah.
And it all boils down to the same thing as it does today, Absolutely. And it was a lot of fun. And then the 250 two-strokes come with a Husky, and
then that changed.
By the time I was 16, I think I was on a 400 Husky. And that was, loved them.
Yeah, you were a Husky guy for a few years, weren't
Yeah, because like I rode a CZ, Vickers gave me a CZ to ride, but I couldn't. The CZ was good for turning, known as good for going around corners. The Husky was good on the bumps, but wouldn't turn so well.
Oh.
So I give Dave the CZ back. So.
It's funny, isn't it? Like how things go out of fashion and sort of come back in peaks and troughs. Because like you was around when most people were racing 4 strokes, and then the 2-stroke revolution happened.
Yeah.
And you've also then come full circle and was very much part of the industry when the 4 strokes made the return.
Come back, yeah.
Which
And
we'll talk
you're
about
thinking,
later,
like, what's the difference? What's the difference? It's it's the 2-strokes are good.
Yeah.
I still, your heart, you guys will be the same with 2-strokes. Nothing better than hearing a proper jetted 250 Honda.
No.
We're agreeing with that one.
We are agreeing with that. If you
like-
want to hear that, you can come to VMXDN.
Yeah,
Beautiful
exactly.
segue.
Because you can. There's nothing better than that sound.
that's what you want to hear.
One that's jetted right and just that bark of it. Ooh,
Exactly.
Yeah.
love it.
We're going to
Love it
talk
still.
more about the modern stuff and where you're at
Yeah.
in the next episode. We'll make this a 2-parter. So coming through, when you started, you didn't have any sort of following of motocross or scrambling as it was then. So who became your early, idols? Inspiration?
Well, it was like Jeff Smith, Dave Bickers, Arthur Lampkin, Alan Clough. It was all them guys. They were just heroes. And like you'd park up, you'd be in the pit box alongside of them, you'd look up to these guys and you think, what am I doing here?
The world was a different place then, though. What I mean by that is how youngsters respected adults, and it has changed, no doubt about it. So how was that? Would you sort of like it would be go up and say hello and a good old firm handshake? And
No,
you
they were the bosses. They
So
were the
you didn't-
yeah. But it was a bit of a secret society back in the day,
Right.
Like the French internationals. Now you rode French internationals, Wobbs. You've done hundreds of
Plenty of
French
them,
internationals, and like the boys kept it to themselves. Because bear in mind, I suppose my career, mainly 70s and early 80s, halfway through the 80s, almost, yeah, it was halfway through. The early 70s, all the Kurt Zollman, Dave, Nickel, Andy Lee, King of France, all these guys, they were out there, but they were getting the same money as we were getting 10, 15 years later.
Yeah.
They were getting the same money then.
Yeah.
So, like, they didn't want any young whippersnappers coming in or Secret Service. They kept it all to themselves, and Smithy and Vickers and that. And there was a bunch of them that used to ride so often in France. So often.
Well, that was weird about the French stuff. It'd be like midweek, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah,
There'd be some holiday on like Tuesday or something. And
It was on all the time. Yeah, you got a sign of a holiday. It was on, and when I was riding, you used to look at where you'd try and like to ride at, and there'd be 6 events on.
Yeah,
All the time.
and like
Somebody
Dave
in
Smith would
France.
send you down to
Smithy.
Montpellier or
Bless
somewhere
him.
for an
Yeah,
extra tenner.
Exactly. So I don't know whether Smithy was great.
Oh my God, how did he have all those connections?
I
It's
don't-
amazing.
but
Before
like,
the
didn't
internet.
he?
Before
Yeah.
the internet. You knew
Oh, everywhere.
everybody.
He must have had so many people's numbers. Like
Imagine
a little
his
book.
Rolodex must have been like
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, it was never more than an hour from Calais.
It's amazing.
I don't think he
And
had a
5
map.
hours later,
I don't think he had a map, did he?
When you actually stop to think about it, which I now am, it has changed so much. Like not necessarily the sport, but the infrastructure of it, the sport of how contracts are done now, and all these agreements and all these other bits and pieces.
It's
really
professionalism,
odd,
isn't it? Like I can remember, Smithy, we went to Norg in north of Holland, Sand.
I went there with Paul Eddy.
Have you been?
Bottomless, that place, isn't
Absolutely.
it? Through the trees.
Round the campsite.
That's it.
Round the campsite, and all the off the start on the football field, up, hang a left, turn right into the campsite.
Yeah.
And that's what and people were in the tents and in the caravans in the campsite.
Yeah, yeah. And it looked flat, didn't it?
Yeah. Up, then you'd go up a roadway on the caravan site, then they'd take you up on a bank and down, back up the roadway, and it went on it, and it was like deep, unbelievable. And I can remember Bob Wright. And Bob says, right, I've got a good idea. But he didn't tell me what the idea was. And what he did was when we went off the start, he was better than me, but he was about 10th, 12th, maybe less, maybe more back. And in the campsite where they looped up on the field, Bob went straight up the road, through the ropes and everything, through the tapes, straight up the field and joined in about 5th, And that was his good start method. But I can
I
remember
wouldn't argue with Bob.
nobody had argued with Bob.
No.
And he wouldn't, Bob would never want to fight you, but like,
I know, but it just
if, me and Thorpe often mention it, we often say we need a Bob Wright.
he wouldn't look at a place in like a 70s crime drama. Would
He wouldn't. He
I'm not
would,
calling him a criminal. I'm just not.
No.
He's got that hardened look.
he was. And he was hard as nails,
yeah.
Bob. Yeah. And he liked to drink.
I remember we were at that Norg track, and me and Paul were walking the track, and I remember Paul asked somebody, "Does it get rough?" And the bloke just chuckled and carried on
Yes.
walking. And I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Even
Like,
the football
that really
field got
black
rough.
sand, wasn't it? It was a
that-
really dark.
black until you're about 3-4 foot
And then it goes
down,
yellow.
and then it's yellow. And when the yellow sand's coming through, Englishman, you're stuffed.
Bottomless.
You're done.
Bottomless.
Yeah, and because they just ride along the top of it, don't they? Just, as they did today. But I remember with Smithy, we were there,
Big
and I
parade
said,
through the town and all that.
"Oh yeah,
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 yeah.
which they do in a lot of places. They did,
It was a big deal.
And I said to Smithy, next time, tell me I'm going with a bucket and spade. That's the only time I ever want to go turn left out of Calais. Otherwise, I want to go straight down. No sand tracks for me. I want
Because most French tracks were hilly,
hard
hard
pack.
pack.
Yeah.
With good tracks. I remember
Yeah.
we went to Rob Andrews, kind of jumped into like this Roman amphitheatre thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, surely you can't
Yeah,
be
you can't round the
surely you
battlements.
can't be doing that.
I've been to that one. Round the
Don't know where it
battlements
was,
thing. Yeah.
But I just remember I was walking the track and I'm like, you're kidding me, you can't be
Yeah,
up
you
and down.
can't
This
run
is
on
some
one, yeah.
historical place.
Exactly.
You can't be doing that, but they do.
Yeah.
There's some mega tracks there. And also what I found was the camaraderie between the guys. It didn't really matter. You were there for the start money, whatever. you'd have a go when the gate dropped,
Yeah.
but you'd also be much more sociable.
Oh yeah, you'd
Whereas
help,
the Grand
you'd help
Prix,
the boys out.
everybody was
yeah,
like-
everybody would help everybody out.
Yeah,
Whereas
it seems to be a lot better.
and there was no selfishness about it. There was on the track. They
Yeah.
were all ruthless.
But you also used to share rides also.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't, I mean, imagine that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine two guys going in the same truck.
Yeah.
Never in a
No,
million
no.
years. But that was commonplace, wasn't it?
Yeah, all the time. Like especially when you got like a Ellsworth Motor Park, and next day Saint Cotine in France overnight. You know,
Taking it in turns to
Thomas
drive.
Dick, Hoop in the truck, off we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All taking it in turns, all sharing the fuel.
yeah.
And it would be the way it went. I mean, I don't see that anymore, do you? But there's no. Then French International stopped. Now I believe it's because of some tax.
Yeah, tax.
They stopped it overnight, didn't they?
Yeah, the French started taxing the organizer and taxing because it was pound notes, wasn't it?
I just know it stopped overnight. It just
Yeah, it was
stopped.
pound, well, no, it wasn't.
It's
It
a
was
shame.
French francs. Sorry,
It
not
was
pound
French
notes.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's where you
the
got to
exchange
know
rate.
everybody. I feel that you got
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
You got to meet and know a lot more people on one Tuesday in France.
Yeah.
Than you did going to like 5 Grand Prix. Because
Yes.
you go to the Grand Prix, everybody's tucked away, everybody's doing the thing. It's all very serious.
Yeah.
And it seems
Exactly.
to be like you go to them races and you'd have a drink at night, or you'd be in the
Yeah,
town.
because there'd be a do after.
You'd be in the town
Yeah,
after. and
yeah, there'd
it'd
be a do
much
after.
more sociable thing.
Exactly.
And you'd get to see guys who, you know, like I got friendly with Davey Strybos because we were 500 guys. You'd never see any of these guys.
No,
So
no.
You got to talk and hang out with them. You might
Yeah.
be parked next to them, or
Yeah.
you know, like Carl Christ was like the nicest guy
Yeah,
until the helmet went on. Well, I didn't have to
exactly.
deal with him then.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It was all
I
right.
don't know. It's odd. Well, not odd. It's difficult because I think people were allowed to be more add more character back then. When I
Yeah.
say there's still characters in our sport.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah,
but
but they're
there's
suppressed.
not the platform. Yeah,
They're suppressed because
show
of
it
because of the
you know
corporate.
that
like,
more than anyone. You know,
Yeah,
like I said, we're
you
getting
know,
on talking more about
for
that.
what
So-
I work for,
Exactly.
I have to be careful with
course.
P's and Q's, you
Yeah.
know. But like going back to the old
Whereas,
stuff,
go back exactly the old stuff, and let's use Graham Noyce as an example.
Noisy, yeah.
Won a world title for Honda. I
Yeah.
mean, he was
He wasn't
pure rock and
wasn't-
roll. He's like
he
he
wasn't.
absolutely.
They didn't care about the fact that he's necking a load and
No.
nearly drowning in rivers. And
Yeah, but he got
Exactly.
the results, and that
The
was good
blonde
enough.
bombshell.
He got the results, and that was good enough.
yeah,
but now
that's how it's.
the trouble is, everybody's got a camera now, haven't they? Everybody's
Yeah.
got a camera. Everybody's
You can't do anything.
you can't do anything.
No.
And the riders now, I mean, like I caught the tail end of the Rockstar guys in the 90s in the States, but now they're just not allowed to
You
have
know,
any
no, you
fun.
can't be
and
that
everybody's
way.
got an opinion.
No.
Everybody's.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do think the public now have unprecedented access to these guys
Yes.
by following them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And whereas before, you know, you wouldn't see or hear you just read them about them on the Trials and Motocross, and they'd be like gods
That's it.
amongst men.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they seem more human, I think.
And like
And I
to
think-
get American news, like if something happens, if somebody falls off in America, within 5 minutes, you know here.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody
You
crashed.
literally do, don't you?
Whereas then, back in the day, this was like later days, motocross action.
Be like
when
3
that
weeks
come
or
out,
a month.
monthly.
If you could get it.
If you could get it.
Yeah. Yeah,
'cause
Stafford train station, you used to get them in one day early.
Yeah, but not everybody used to have them.
No.
And so you'd go to a shop and they're like, don't. Where's that? And it'd be like,
What's that? Yeah.
yeah. And, you know, you'd read it 3-4 months
Yeah,
old
exactly.
news, and it was like you were,
Oh, you were there, yeah. Catching
And
up
then
on it.
once
It's
you
great.
kind of bit involved, you realise how full of shit they
Yeah.
was. You were like, Jesus, all that information I was getting ain't. It's a bit politically spun, really.
Yeah.
Bless them. I mean, I think the new guys now are much more switched on. But
Yeah,
I think back
yeah.
in the day, I think they were very.
Yeah, but it was the only communication you got.
Yeah.
That's all you had from the US.
We used to have like motorcycle news on a Wednesday,
Yep. Which you had.
and there was a
Grand
page.
Prix,
There was a page in
internationals,
there. You
everything.
could
Yeah,
find the
yeah, yeah.
results, and then
Yeah.
on your Trials and Motocross on a Sunday, and then your DBR come out every month, and then
Yeah.
your American stuff you'd. But it's
which you've graced covers of. We'll get onto that in
Oh,
a minute.
yes.
Before we start talking more about your actual career, because we definitely want to do that,
yeah,
obviously.
we got a bit sidetracked, didn't we?
We did.
Well, no,
Yeah, but
of
it's
course,
all
why
right,
not?
isn't it?
It's like having pub. This is what we said. For those of you, by the way, that are not sure how we format this, we just very much want Talk Motor to be like we was down the boozer, just chatting. There's no form. There's no questions.
We got no
arranged.
agenda. We haven't
We're not
organised.
that organised.
We
We
talk
just
shit
roll
for
with
hours.
it.
No.
But we've also got obviously people helping us, so we better just give them a mention. So Talon, thanks to everybody at Talon for supporting us like we do, and you can benefit from that by actually calling Talon or emailing them and give them the promo code, which is
Talk15.
Talk15, TORQ15, and you will get 15% off anything that you buy, providing you hit them up with that.
Proper stuff. We use it all in all our VMXDN, Fox Hill, August Bank Holiday builds.
Yeah.
We use it in all that stuff. It's mega. They look after us, and it's the best stuff. Quality British product.
It is. We use them. Team as well. It's all good stuff.
And they sorted out my Husky front wheel as well, which I could not.
Oh yeah, it did. Yes,
Oh, my
it did.
God.
Yeah, I was down there.
I was talking about that. We did a doc up yesterday, and I'm like,
It's
that
unlike
front
you to
wheel,
give
I
up on a
nearly
project
threw
like
it.
that. That was
If a wheel's going well, you can do a wheel in half an hour.
Yeah.
When it's not going well, and that turns out the spokes I bought were wrong, and the one side's a 2 crossover, the one side's a 3 crossover.
Oh.
who knew.
Who knew? Well, the guys at Talon figured it out
They sorted it, didn't they?
because it was going to go through the wall. I was. Well,
You look relieved when you dropped that wheel off, I have to say. So, when did it start to get, for a better word, serious. with your racing? You know, obviously you started, you was into it, you wanted to do well. Everybody does, pretty much. You
Yeah.
know, people don't always just ride for fun. But was there like a trigger point in your head where you thought, you know what, this could be something for me? I could actually make a career out of that. Was there a defining moment, or was it just that?
It sort of, it just grew.
Yeah.
It just grew. There was no, I was always thinking, I wanted to, I worked at the power station, served a full apprenticeship, 5-year apprenticeship, went as an engineer at the power station.
oh, did you never knew that?
I
Yeah.
never knew that.
So-
It's like calling him Homer.
Yeah. It's
Well, he calls me all kinds of different names, so it's time to get him back.
And my mother said, "Oh, you can't trust that motocross. You might break your leg." You know, my mother supported
Yeah.
me.
She's got a point
to
there.
death. Oh yeah, yeah. You've got something to fall back
Proved.
on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got a few. So I did all that reluctantly, and then so that cost like what was the CEGB? It cost them thousands to train me up as an engineer, and I become a mechanical engineer, and I did 1 year. And then I said, I'm off to race motorbikes for a bit, and sort of left. And
You
yeah,
had a career behind you at that point. So you know, if had it not worked out,
yeah, I got a job that you could, you know,
you could go
for
back to a
5
job.
years. You could go back.
So, what age was that when you went, I'm out of here?
19.
Yeah, so
19,
but you
20,
like what said, you've got at least you had something to fall back
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So
But
as
just-
soon as you got that, you were gone.
Just and so when you started thinking I'm gonna quit my job, but obviously there's a financial. So was the financial input from prize money, or was it from
No,
like clothing manufacturers? That side of things.
No, clothing manufacturer, no, nothing like that. It was only prize money, and I carried on doing other jobs. I ended up I was a motorbike mechanic for a bit, and then did some duct work, you know, just things to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And it grew. And strangely enough, from almost my first year racing, I kept a record of how much I won.
There you
Prize
go.
money.
Yeah.
And I kept a record of each year. And, you know, you could see it increasing
keep
each
going
year.
up. So that
yeah.
was the motivation.
But I didn't know that 'cause I only worked it out about 2-3 years ago. But I got these diaries and I kept results
Yeah.
and everything, you know, like Jack
That's
Bernicle.
cool though. I bet that's good to look
It's
back
good to look back on.
because I don't remember half the stuff I did.
And I'll tell you another place that's a great place of reference for me that's my toilet.
Yeah, your toilet.
Yeah, you've been in my toilet, haven't you?
It's
your
got all like TMX things.
Oh,
like
it's got
all-
it, yeah.
wallpaper.
Or,
Why do I suddenly think I've been in? I have been in your toilet.
have
Yes,
you?
I have.
And it's still there today.
yeah, no,
Because I don't let her change it.
that's a line I never thought I'd say. But yeah,
It
No.
has.
now. I can't remember when I
what
did
it
Big
it.
people up to speed. Basically, the wallpaper in Rogers
Yes,
downstairs.
it
I say
is.
toilet. It's a
Brilliant.
bathroom. It's a lovely bathroom, but it's lined with Trials and Motocross features on Roger. So you can sit there and you just read. You'll be there for hours.
and start peeing all over the floor.
It is great.
Yeah,
It is
God.
great. It is impressive.
But like, yeah, and it's a great point of reference,
It
you know.
is.
Like somebody say, "Oh, what about?" Oh, yeah.
oh, that's by the
Hang on,
sink.
let me go in the toilet. Have a look.
That's by the window. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it is impressive.
So yeah, Lynn, my wife, saw it in a magazine and thought, "Oh, that'd be good," and I'll just do it. And I went away somewhere racing and come back and that's all right. Have we run out of money again?
How is it not faded? How is it not?
Oh, it's faded. It's faded now
Oh,
because that's a
okay.
lot of years. That's been
bet it
a
is,
lot,
yeah.
a lot of years.
That's a lot of collecting, and a lot of cutting out Trials and Motocrosses, and
Yeah, and
impressive.
like people ask, and I said,
cool
"Hang on,
idea,
I think there's something in the bathroom," and then you have to go. So then
I know, it's good.
It's good, yeah. But that, anyway, so where did we get to?
well, just the motivation to
yeah,
finance, but-
yeah,
finance,
it was just growing. It was just growing, and you know, top and bottom of it is, same as story as today. Why am I still working at my age? Because I love it. I don't love the work. I enjoy the sport.
Yes.
You know, the travel I hate, but like I still enjoy it. And it's still fun.
Gives
And
you a
I
buzz.
try and have that fun element amongst the people I'm working with, you know, that you can have a smile.
Before, obviously, I ever met you, so as a kid coming up through the 80s, by that point, when did you win your 125 British title? 84? 83. So around the time I started to get into this, obviously follow the sport more intently at the top end, like you were there, you were the British champion. And then I always sort of remember, actually, you say that now, that you did seem to have a bit more of a, to me as a kid looking at all the big stars, that you were a little bit more flamboyant, a little bit more sort of like fun. A lot of them were like rock and roll,
Serious,
but they were quite intense. You know, they didn't have a laugh and a joke on race day. Obviously, we had Kurt Nichol in recently, and like Kurt sat in that very seat and sort of said, "Well, yeah, I wish I had a bit more."
That was
fun
one of
with
his
it."
regrets.
He was serious, Kurt was.
Yeah.
was,
Oh,
but
he couldn't, because when he come out to schoolboys, he sat on the fuel tank all the time. And like Farley Castle.
Yeah.
Down them steps, schoolboy, just out fresh, sat on the fuel tank. And I just said, "Oh, you carry on sitting on that fuel tank, Kurt. You're doing a good job
Yeah.
there." His old man Dave said, "Don't listen to him. Don't listen to a thing he says." Because like, I'm thinking like, I need to psych him out some way, shape or form.
But he sat there and said, "I wish I'd have had more fun," because
Yeah.
Kurt is actually a fun,
He's very funny.
lovely, funny
Very,
guy.
very
But
funny.
He looked like he was about to murder somebody.
Yeah,
when he was at the
exactly,
races.
yeah.
He was,
And that's what I mean. I don't think you ever, like in the pictures that I saw in the magazines, you know, maybe it's because a lot of the pictures were you chatting to Dave Smith and laughing
Yeah,
and joking.
yeah.
But you always just seem to have a bit more fun, like between the motos.
Well, it's
and like
yeah,
there.
and in the motos.
Yeah.
Like one of the big greatest rivals is Tomasic, Dave Tomasic.
he's a character, mine.
And I know you've got an event coming up at Farley, haven't you?
Yes, we have. Farley
When's Farley?
mid-September.
Is it?
Yeah, Farley
Well,
Vet Summer.
you know Farley track. You go off down the steps, turn right across that
Horrible,
rough old,
rough,
orchard
horrendous
type
park
thing.
track.
Yeah, and then
Before you come back into the field.
Yeah, that
yeah,
gets
but
so
then you
rough,
turn
isn't it?
left and a big long right.
Yeah.
Well, we were in the support races at one of the Grand Prix, me and Tomasic. And we got out. I don't know where we were. We were up the front-ish. And Tomasic was around that right-hander. He was in a rut, but there was room to get a little bit on the inside of him. So he was on the second rut. So he got his foot out across the first rut. And I followed him. And I thought, I'm going to run over his foot here. Right, this is in the race.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah,
Quite right.
I thought, I'm going to run over
If he
his
leaves that dangling next
foot. Yeah,
time I'm having
I'm
that.
going to run over it. And I did. And Tomasic put his foot out. And I ran up to it with the brake on. And of course, it just pulled him at the back of the bike and
Did
it
it?
shot off to the fence. And like, oh, he wanted to fight me after that. We weren't friends really for a bit. But like, things like that
Yeah.
going on the track all the time.
Well, of course they did. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun.
But it was.
So I think
said,
it was
sort
a
of dealt- there was a different era.
It was a
wasn't
different
I
era.
know
Like
we
you
yeah,
said,
delved
yeah.
back
you,
to it,
like,
but
you can't imagine three guys traveling to races and then racing,
yeah,
going at it like
For
cat
each
and mouse,
other.
and then coming home again.
yeah.
You know, and it's just that just doesn't happen anymore, does it?
Just one, that Saint-Catherine French International after Ellsworth. Tomasic was with us in the van,
Yeah.
and he beat me.
Down by Le Mans.
A bit more over the east, and he beat me without a front tire.
what? Okay, what do you mean without a tyre?
He punctured and kept going, as you do in France,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the tire come off
jingling.
off the rim, and it was going round on the left-hand fork leg.
No.
It was going,
And he carried on.
and he carried on and
And
beat
beat
me.
you.
How many-
It was off towards the end of the
I was
race.
going to say, how many
Yeah.
laps?
No.
like-
But he
still.
went over the line with this tyre going around his fork leg. Yeah, but that's
He's a
yeah.
boy, isn't he, Tomasic? We should get him in.
I
really.
bet he gloated about that one.
Oh, I loved it.
Does he?
Yeah.
Was that after
Well, he
you
had-
rode over his foot?
No, I had him back at Curden Park in the a muddy British Championship, and I'd gone reasonable, and he'd had a bad one, and we come and to the finish. You had a straight 100 meters, cross a roadway, and big deep ruts going out of it, and then 20 metres and finish. And as I come up, I look down this straight and there's Tomasic. I thought, I'm going to miss the opportunity to lap him. And anyway, went down this straight, turned across the road. He's stuck in the rut the other side of this road.
Lovely.
So I went in and hit his back wheel and jumped up alongside. This is the British Championship. Pulled the clutch in and said, I'm lapping you. Off to the line.
Oh, I love that, I bet.
That's brilliant.
I wouldn't say what he said, but like,
No.
you
No,
know,
he
we
did
were
come-
on about swearing. Tomasic can't go 2 words without swearing.
No.
Did he
And
come
he
looking
was-
for you after that one?
No.
No, it was only when you
No.
rode over his foot.
Yeah, he didn't like
He was
that
a
one.
Romo. He's a Romo boy, isn't he, Tomas?
He's a good value.
He's a
Good kid.
Yeah,
Different.
characters. And like you say, the characters now they are a bit suppressed. They can't be.
Yeah, they can't be who they want to
They
be.
can't be the corporate thing nowadays, and everybody wants them to.
And they
you know,
change, take them away from it. And they're funny old boys, like, oh, man.
Well, again, we're going to talk about it maybe in the second part of this interview, but you would have seen firsthand, the jargon, for a better word, that goes into riders' contracts now. And I bet they're like, way.
Yeah.
Not just like go out there, win races, thank you very much, do this. Yeah.
It started going downhill. I think I noticed it more in the States when they were starting just to I thank my Dunlop tires for getting me out the gate. And I'm like, have some character, kid. You know what I mean?
And they copy it, don't they?
And they
the
do.
Grand Prix.
And they everything just get to be so corporate.
Yeah.
You're not even seeing the kid, and it
What
was
they are.
like, and that's why, like your Cooper Webb, he's got something about him. And
Genuine,
you like
yeah.
to see, you like to see some aggression, like to see just something about,
Yeah.
I bet Tomasic didn't thank his tyres at the end of that one.
Well, he didn't need them.
No, didn't need it. That's a sponsor. So the 125 title, I mean, that was a
Hold on, we got a big jump. Sorry to
No.
jump in there. I'm supposed to do that anymore.
jump in.
We've gone for a big jump. So when did it start becoming?
But when I was on the 70s, late 60s, I used to think I'd started winning a bit, and I was like 16. I was an expert, and so I thought, it's all right. But then it's a whole different structure to what we know now.
Yeah.
Like there used to be centre races.
Exactly.
And
You had to earn
could
the right to be there, didn't you?
And quite honestly, a British Championship could come to a centre, and there'd be one of the centre guys could run at the front of the British Championship.
Yeah.
because
Exactly.
there was that many riders and good riders about.
Yeah.
So what we did was centre races and then British Championships, and that was hard because there's so many good riders, just like heaps of them.
So then when the top 30 champ, or was
Yeah.
it 40, was that in motion at that point?
No, it came in
No.
while I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was top 35.
Top
Yeah,
35 and then
Top
Right,
35,
was it
yeah. And
top
I was
five?
one of the seeded ones into the top
Was
35.
it top 5 went up to the British Championship,
Yeah,
and the
5
bottom
up, 5
5
down.
5 up, 5 down.
was a rep.
And that was a big deal. Getting
massive.
to be in that top 5 was a
And
big
you
deal.
get guys strutting around saying, I'm in the top
Yeah.
35.
Yeah.
They
It
love
meant
it.
something.
And that was
They'd
the
love
support
it.
championship.
Yeah.
So the top 35 was the British Championship, and the support was the guys trying to get into the British
Championship. Yeah.
And the top 5 in the support class would move up to the British the following year, and the bottom 5 from the British would move down,
That's right.
and you can't fill the gate now.
No, exactly. And they were
So-
queuing up. And then repechage races where the last chance to get in.
Yeah.
Oh, man, they were the ones to watch. We used to go and watch them because they were good value.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was,
And
it was different.
and in your British Championship, you had to be on a grading list to get to the Grand
Always.
Prix.
As the Grand Prix were then.
You'd have the top back in the 80s. Your Kurt or your Thorpe were automatic through.
Yes, because of their World Championship the year before.
But then you'd have, 8 was it? 8 500
You
guys?
could have 8.
Yeah. And then you'd have a certain amount of guys on Irish licenses and whatever to go
Yeah,
in.
because that added up the numbers.
Yeah.
You'd
And
have
like,
a couple of Irish
but there would be-
licenses and, yeah.
There'd be 8 or 9 Grand Prix riders
Who could all score points.
who
Who
Yeah, that was
capable
the
of
thing,
scoring
that
points.
was the
And
point.
bear in mind, the points were down to 20th or 50th.
Yeah.
It was 10 when I first started.
Yeah.
You
So
It
to
was
win
10,
a
yeah.
so to win a British Championship was a big deal,
oh, massive.
And
Massive.
I'm not saying it's not now, but you had to beat some quality to win a British Championship back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who were you racing against when you won in '83? you know, you were factory Yamaha.
Yes.
Steve Goodyear is a mechanic
Yes. Good
on
old
factory
Steve.
bikes.
Yep. But yeah, the factory, not full factory from Japan, but like factory from Mitsui,
Yes.
as it was then.
Yeah, a few
And they got you a
components
few,
and
few
They
nice,
were good.
nice
Yeah,
little
so
bits.
They
Oh,
were
wow,
good.
yeah.
They were good bikes. That's-
Yeah. The no, there was just loads and loads of good guys who
Paul
could
Hunt
win.
and all these guys.
Paul Hunt, Isaac, as he's known as we all know him as, don't we? Watley was doing them. Andy Nichols,
Nichols
coming
was
in
the-
late on. Yeah, there was just like, and Thomas could go in and do them, and there'd be people dropping in and doing them, and Thorpe would do one or two, and especially when he went in there and his job was to keep me behind. So Jonathan Wright,
Yeah.
so I couldn't beat Jonathan. We often have a crack about that with Thorpe because I'll tell you the story now while I remember it. We went British Championship. Now Thorpe was on Kawasaki.
When was this?
82?
81, 82?
82.
'Cause he went to Honda in 83.
Yeah, he was on the Kawasaki 82.
Yeah.
Ling. I was all right around Ling. The old Yam used to work quite well. And
Was it the same track as it is now?
Pretty
much. Yeah.
Same
Same
track.
layout's almost the same,
Lovely
identical.
place though.
And I could get around there, I was half decent around there, and got out the start, reasonable start, and this young Thorpe come up behind me. And he was shouting at me at every corner, "Oh, get out of the way, and like, tight lines, oh, drift out a bit, and I caused him some mayhem. Anyway, in the end, he got past me. And I think a stone hit his fuel pipe and knocked his fuel, so he ran out of fuel. So I don't think he finished the race. So he was spewing about that, but he was also spewing about this old fart getting in his way, And I see him come stomping across the pits. And he goes, "You get in my way and get out of my way next time." And I said, "Oh, hang on. Let's just get this right. If you're lapping me, shout. If you're not lapping me, don't bother because you're wasting your breath. I ain't going to move." Yeah. And he went off with his tail between his legs. Roll forward 1 year almost, one season, Beenham Park, 125.
track that was.
Yeah. It was 82 because Math won the British Championship.
Well, I've never heard of this track.
Yeah.
Beenham Park?
Beenham Park. Oh,
Yeah,
classic.
Beautiful, like
classic
proper,
track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hilly.
rough,
Yeah.
off camber.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And so I said, "Hey, Thorpe is in." Alec Wright drafted him in. Thorpe's only thing was to keep Arv back so that Jonathan Wright, Math had won the championship. Jonathan Wright could finish second, stop Yamaha, get in a 1-2. So your job, keep Arv behind. Set off, and up behind Thorpe, I catch him up. Because I've got to get at Jonathan. Shouting at him, roaring at him. And went in the pits after the race. And like Colin Wright was signalling then and just said, "Hold half," and things like this, And I'm like revving. And I walked across the Thorpe in the paddock and said, I won't say what I actually said, but I said, Thorpe said, "Hang on, Rog. If you're lapping me, shout." And like 1 year, and that's 1 year, and that's how he learned.
he held on to that
the guy learned
Exactly.
and
So
amazing. It was
when did
funny
you
as hell.
start doing Grand Prix? Where's the transition?
One of the big things for me was I'd done some Grand Prix in early 70s.
So where, you
From 250s.
So you're doing British Championship stuff, and then you thought, you know what? I think I need to go out and do some work.
I'll go and have a cut at, it's like 74 hours to go, but I'd signed for Yamaha. Oh my God. What a mistake.
Well, they
I
weren't.
regret it now.
They weren't the best for that.
No, with twin shocks, wasn't it? But my deal was you get the twin shocks, but that year the monoshock
Yeah,
was out.
was coming out. Anderson,
75 because Hawken Anderson was on it.
That's right.
Jean-Claude Lecaille, there was some different guys on them, but we can't get one in the UK yet, but you'll have it. Didn't come. I was stuck on these twin shocks. And like 125 wasn't bad, actually. 250 was quite quick, but like didn't handle because it got, them footrest things that you roll the footrest on the back of a motorbike, got them shocks on. Oh, and they didn't want me to change it, and they didn't want to, and it was a disaster year. So yeah, I was doing some 250 Grand Prix in that year, but we used to drop in and do a Grand Prix if you were invited in the UK. So I might ride all 3 Grand Prix in 1 year, and So I did some 250s, but like I was useless on it, you know. I don't think I got a point even. But I did 2 or 3 of them and then thought, oh, yeah, okay. But also recognise what you were capable of. So that was always the thing I was aware of.
And did it bring you on speed-wise? Because to go there is an eye-opener, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
even though it didn't,
although I
work,
wasn't going well,
even though it didn't,
I was going
go
much
for you,
faster.
You knew
Yeah.
it.
when you come back home,
yeah,
you
exactly.
felt,
And then Dougie Wheeler picked me up. And Dougie sponsored me for a number of years, actually. And in fact, when I was on the Yams, I was with Doug, you know, and he'd give me £100 a Grand Prix. But then £100 to get me back. Yeah.
Yeah.
and you still
Get me there
you
and back.
qualify. I mean, it used to be in the
Qualify,
80s,
yeah,
it was
400.
1,000 Swiss francs.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I think it was 400, 400 Swiss. Back then, and prize money, you know, which was
the prize money went down to 20th.
yes,
Yeah.
you got
Write
paid
that down in your little book.
Yeah, it'll be in there somewhere. I think I was still doing them in '74.
I remember there was a fuss when I was with Mark that John Banks got paid the same money as Mark did,
Yeah,
like 25 years later.
is that exactly
Penny for penny.
Oh yeah,
Not
yeah,
like working out today's exchange. No.
no.
He got 500 quid and he got
Yeah,
500 quid.
exactly.
And 500 quid didn't
Yeah,
get
if
you
you-
that far,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
just goes
I
to show
regret to say that the championship money for the British Championship is now less than
that it used to
not
be.
even the same. It's like less.
Yeah,
Because
Anyway,
there
that's a
used to be
different
some
subject.
good internationals, you know, like Ken Hall. And
Yeah.
there used to be some really good one
All
day.
those things. Yeah, Patch Quick Trophy. There
Yeah.
was a load of.
yeah.
Ellsworth
Go
used to
and
do
do.
one as well, I believe.
Ellsworth used to have one occasionally. Yeah, but like
That's a good track, wasn't it?
Ellsworth is good. Andy Lee knew how to look
Good
after
job,
one and
yeah.
put
It was
a track
beautiful. It
Yeah,
was like
looked
carved,
after.
looked like it was carved out of butter.
Yeah,
Beautiful
exactly.
track.
It's more like a golf course, wasn't it?
It
It
was,
was more
yeah.
like a golf course that you rode on.
Yeah. Is that not
Which is what you've always wanted to
Yes,
do.
exactly.
Every golf course you
you
look
can't
at, you
drive
think,
past a golf course,
You're
can
not
you?
wrong.
Think,
and they've
I
even
can
got a
clear
sand
that.
hole in every
You're
one
not
for
wrong.
you.
I reckon I can clear that.
Yeah.
But you're not a motocrosser, and if you're driving down the road looking at fields,
Looking
giving
at that and thinking, oh, that'd be all
it-
right.
I reckon I could get up there.
Yeah, I still do it today. You know, you look at
You
something and think,
Oh, we all do,
God,
yeah.
that, you know, that'd make a good track there.
Yeah.
I used to do it driving down the American freeways, thinking, could you clear that?
Yeah, yeah,
Because they got these ramps. You think,
Yeah.
I reckon I'm fast enough.
Yeah.
And never in a million years could I do it. Let's be honest.
So and then
So you signed Yamaha, and you were with
so
Yamaha.
74, disaster. They're back on the Huskies again with Doug Wheeler. And then Mako, I'd got to a point, Husky, when was Suzuki? Husky 77, Suzuki 78. Got to a point in 78, I was on Suzuki and 125 good, doing 125 Grand Prix, but like not going so good. Like I'd finished 5th in the world in 76.
That's all right.
As a privateer,
So playing that down a bit there, Roger.
Bad to
yeah,
me.
but like,
Only fifth
yeah, but
in
like
the world.
Right.
it was a hard time, you know. But I couldn't take the missus because she got to keep working. So Lynn had got to keep working. So we got a house by this time we're married and that.
She's got a toilet she needs to decorate for
Yeah, exactly. No, we moved house.
She's only halfway through decorating the bathroom at this point.
That's why he had to go to get more wallpaper.
yeah. And so she had to stay and work. I couldn't afford to take a mate as a mechanic because I couldn't afford to feed him.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing, was it 4 or 5 Grand Prix on my own? Just me,
Wow.
transit van, bike.
Now that is an undertaking. That is
Stupid
an
undertaking,
that,
isn't
yeah,
it?
that is.
Oh man, can you just imagine if
Tell me the
that
story about the
broken
That
down-
is
starter
incredible.
motor on your transit van.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be about
It's
that.
that you actually even was allowed to do that, really, because if you
Well,
know,
nobody knew I was
well,
doing
I suppose
it.
not.
Nobody knew.
And
It
this
was
is
just
before jumping in again. But this is before. It was hard to travel around Europe.
yeah. You
It
got
wasn't-
carnets and you got
no
stamp
credit
this
cards.
and
Well, 'cause they're all borders.
No
There
credit
wasn't
cards, no
no-
sat navs, no mobile
Map.
phones, nothing.
map and like maps. You couldn't get a detailed enough map. So when you got to find where you got to go, you got to go down the local library where they got very detailed maps, and you could find this little grotty French town where you've got to go to.
And like no sat navs, no
Nothing.
No,
No, and you got to, and you just got to work it out. You know.
The big pot of change in the van.
Yeah, and I did Belgium on my own, and finished third on the podium. Oh, I was proud of that. Then the next race was in Denmark. And I could tell you a story about that one, but I better
probably
not.
best not.
It takes some getting there, doesn't it? Denmark and it's
up
not
through
an easy,
Germany
it's not
and
an easy
Netherlands,
trip, is it?
Germany. And then after Denmark, I'm meeting somebody to go over to Finland to the next Grand Prix, meeting somebody at the Husqvarna factory because, you're doing well. We'll sort you out. We'll get you a factory engine. So went from the Denmark Grand Prix. As soon as he'd finished, loaded up. This is like Shanksy on my own, in the van. And of course, middle of the summer, light, got to within 10 miles of the Husqvarna factory.
Where was that?
Husqvarna. It was a place called Husqvarna in Sweden.
it?
It is
Didn't know that.
Husqvarna. Spelt slightly different, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Got within 10 miles and thought, I can get a couple of hours kip, in the old tranny. Got up. Couldn't start it. Daylight. I'd gone with lights on, and daylight was and left the lights on main beam, and they didn't switch themselves on.
they didn't.
Flat the battery, and so I had to get the battery off, diesel battery, heavy, and get to the next services. Off we go down the road, carrying this diesel van's parked up in the parking, and carry this so far, and then I got a lift, and they got me there, sat in there while they charged it, and sat there for a couple of hours while it charged up, got enough charge in it, then come to go back, so I've got to go back up the other side of this dual carriageway, and walk for a bit, carrying this battery like it was a good training. And got back, put it on, got to the Husqvarna, got them to late. I was late getting there. Apologised and said, right, where we go. And they took me up the workshop and took me head and barrel off. Bear in mind, I was doing my own spanner in, and I used to have to put a piston in between races. And went on, did the workshop and take the barrel off. Take your barrel down to the lawnmower man. I said, you what? He said, the lawnmower man. I said, what's he got to do? He said, he'll do your barrel. He's the best one for doing barrels. He knows it. So I had to get out of the lawnmower shop with me barrel.
Never.
It's Husqvarna.
I've got a Husqvarna lawn. Mate, I didn't realise it was tuned. I got one. She's out there cutting the grass at the moment.
Yeah, he was probably him that built it. But anyway, he did me. It was better. It was better. But the thing is, I used to run it on Castrol R, and it had gum rings in. So I had to put a piston in between the races. And the thing was that slow, to be honest. I used to have to go to the line, and Rob, you'll appreciate this, go to the line, and it was cold. The engine was cold. And I used to push it onto the line. I didn't start it because it had got more compression when it was cold, but I had to risk a seizure, you know what I mean? So, that's what I had to risk.
So did you said you had to put a ring in between races. Did you have to do that? Piston, sorry. Did you have to do that when you were travelling on your own then?
Yeah, so come in.
It's crazy.
There's no water pipes though, is there? There's
no,
only 4 bolts. Isn't it?
It's 4 bolts. It's all off.
Don't get me wrong.
Filter.
Being your own mechanic's one thing, and having a quick fettle over between races,
Oh yes.
But okay, I've just done a GP moto. Come in. Do you know what? I'll just quickly whip that.
I had to do that when I was at Suzuki.
But you want race? You want race a GP?
No, but I'd have to put a clutch in it, a set of reeds, a piston,
Yeah.
an air filter, a pair of tyres, back brake pads, and
that.
get the shock service in like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
How it didn't fall apart is a miracle.
You're riding as well.
40
you're
minutes,
doing it on
40
your own.
minutes and 2 laps.
Yeah.
I used to love them. Love them. Proper races.
Yeah.
And they think it's getting boring. And
no, we've had this conversation before because it doesn't. It goes, everybody settles down in the middle, and then actually the last 10, 15 minutes of a 40-minute moto really gets interesting because that's when people start to fatigue and
start making mistakes and whatever.
So I ended up on the Suzuki was playing up and it was breaking and it was like terrible. And so Banbury, last round of the British Championship, August 78. And we hadn't got much money, and back wheels exploded over there's a jump going up to where you join the start line. Back wheel, hub's gone. Dragged it under the ropes, got it laying on its side. And I'm sat on the seat watching the race, you know. But I'm not, I'm calculating. I think a Mako was 1,250 quid. And I ain't got 1,250 quid. Me and Lynn hadn't got 1,250 quid. And like, where am I going to get it? Oh, maybe I can rustle up 500 or 600 quid and then borrow some more off of my mum, because my mum sponsored me, because my mum and dad separated. She sponsored me for years and paid for everything. So we did this, and I'm sat there thinking, oh, I ain't going to get enough money to buy a Mako. I've got to get on a Mako. And that was the bike
That
you
was the
needed.
bike. Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought, oh. And then I'm sat on the bike, and somebody comes down behind the ropes, kicks me front tyre, and said, hey up, Rog, you're having a bit of a hard time, ain't you? It's Jack Hewitt from Hewitt's Motorcycles. And I said, I am, Jack. Yeah, I said, to be honest, I'm really struggling with this, you know, with the Suzuki. I said, 125 is not so bad, 250 is okay, but I just can't get on with it, and I've got to look what I'm doing. He said, oh, come and see me on Monday, Rog. 6 o'clock I was there. But I got a contract with Suzuki, a paid contract.
Right.
And Graham Beamish, great fella, you know, looked after me very well. And and bear in mind, this year I'd had a fire in my garage. My next door neighbour borrowed me acetylene bottles and borrowed me gauges and didn't tighten the gauge back on. So I went to weld something. It was on fire, the garage, and lost 2 or 3 Suzukis and this, that, and the other. Anyway, and
It's
so
just such a different world.
yeah, Jack Hewitt says, yeah, come and see me. I was there, but I was contracted to Suzuki till the end of the year, and he says, I said, I'd love to speak to Graham Beamish, and you know, just to do it right and see if he'll release me. Anyway, Jack
Hewitt had a shop, didn't he?
Jack Hewitt had a Hewitt's Motorcycle. So there was Jack, who was the dad, and then there was Mike, Paul, and Adam. Who were the
salvage guys.
3 sons, salvage guys. And, you know, they all supported it, and they all supported me so well. And that's what turned my career around, really, you know. But I've got to get at this with Graham. And Jack had a big influence because they were selling such big quantities of off-road bikes. And he had a massive influence on the industry, really. And Jack wasn't the person you'd mess with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to be straight as a die with him. And I always was, and he respected that. And Mike and that and this. Anyway, Hawkston 4 or 5 years ago, I'm talking to Mike and saying, and he said, do you know it? I bet you don't know this, do you, Roger? I said, well, what's that, Mike? He said, when my old man come home from Banbury, that British Championship where he spoke to you, we got talking about it, and he says, he run Graham Beamish at night. And he said, Graham, you will be releasing Roger Harvey tomorrow. And just informed him that way. Oh. And I didn't know this. I didn't know anything about it. Yeah. So I've got back later than Jack, obviously, because he was like spectating. He got
no mobile phones. Let's ring that.
No. You've got to get back home. And he'd rung him and explained that you will be releasing Roger. And I rung Graham and I said, you know, look, it's not doing you any good. It's not doing me any good. And my career's not working for me. Graham, will you release me? And he said, yeah, no problem, Roger. He said, and you know what? We'll pay what you owe you. You know, it's the end of the British Championship, and we'll pay what you've got left in your contract.
Oh, fair play.
And I said, he said, well, just put everything together and drop it back to us. And I said,
so Graham never mentioned that he
never mentioned it. And I didn't know until 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know because Jack wouldn't have said that. He wouldn't have ever told me. And it was only when I was talking to Mike,
that's
2 years ago, and then
you're on the end of the God, he's taking it well.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking like, hell.
That was easy, I thought.
He obviously wanted me badly. So but it was a fun year. But it was.
So you won the Brit. When did you go on Yamaha? Because I remember you were a Yamaha guy. I know before that.
Yeah.
But you were well known for being on Yamaha.
Yes,
and you won the championship.
Yeah.
what year did you go on Yamahas?
Because
Because you didn't ride anything else after that, did you?
No, that finished. I
you to the
finished.
end,
I
yeah.
finished on the arm. No, it was 81, and like it on a good bike. Because I've been on the Mako. The 1980 Mako wasn't good. It was really high front end, and there's only me and Jeff Mays could really ride them, you know. And so what we did was talk to Jack Hewitt. I said, Jack and Mike and Paul and Adam. I said, look, you know, I've got an offer from Yamaha. What do you think? And Jack straight, absolutely said, what is it? Told him what the deal was. He said, you've got to take it, Roger. You've got to do it. And which, to be honest, I do that with riders now.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm negotiating with a rider and he's got a deal, I said, just tell me straight what your deal is.
Yeah. I'll see if
then
I can match it or not.
Yeah, and then if it's, I'll say, stay there, go there, do that. And so, like, yeah, 81, I was on the Yam and they're like, I couldn't ride. I was useless. I had to plead with them to keep me on for 82. I had to say, look, give me another chance. I can't ride this bloody thing. Give me another chance. I'll know I'll be able to ride the new one because I think it had gone from the cantilever one,
To that new linkage.
triangle, to the new linkage.
Ooh, that linkage was complicated.
Yeah, it was. And
At least they stopped running the water through the headstock.
exactly.
Who thought
Man,
that was
what-
who thought that was
exactly.
a good idea?
But anyway, so yeah, jumped on and I could ride it a bit better, not
Yeah.
not a lot better, but a bit better. But no, to be honest, Jack Hewitt saved my career, you know. And today,
Yeah.
thanks to him,
You got
I'm here
to get rid-
today
yeah, exactly.
doing this.
You got what you
Excellent.
need.
That's
Yeah.
fair play. And
So-
then,
Go on.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, you don't.
No.
Do you
I
know
ain't
what? I've
saying
forgotten what I was going to say now.
I ain't saying
You probably
nothing.
have as well.
I just wondered, like, after the British Championship, you
Yeah.
had a couple of years and you were done.
Yeah, 83 won the British Championship on it, and then 85 I was done April 85.
That's through injury or just, I've had enough.
Injury, no, it's dislocated both hips
Oh, you did, yeah.
and fractured both hips. And
That's enough
there's
to
a
make you
story.
think.
There's different stories to what goes on. You know, it was French international
Ooh.
guy who was in
So
front of
very
me.
good medical there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Guy who's in front of me. I dealt with him proper last year. No problem. And I'm thinking, oh, he shouldn't be in front of me. We went over this jump, and she was like almost full hole in top, but it's only like a couple of foot high, and just a little one, but he hit it hard. And his back wheel, his sprocket was loose. And you know when a sprocket comes off, when it's gone that loose, the bolts are all
Yours
gone.
or his?
His.
His.
And shower of aluminium went everywhere.
Yeah.
And my natural instinct was to think, whoa. And just as I went over this jump, and I just went over. And like it skimmed the back of my helmet, skimmed my shoulders, skimmed my back, but I'd gone right up the fuel tank and both hips come out.
Oh my days.
Anyway,
How'd you get home?
eh?
How'd you get home?
I ended up in hospital. Flew
well,
home. Flew home with Smithy's missus. But I ended up in hospital. But like, again, I'm thinking, oh, what happened was me right hip went back on the track. Instinct again. Well, I've got to get back on. Oh, boom, something went, oh, I thought, what's that? And then I thought, oh, something's up with my left leg. I bust my femur. Was it my left or my right? And I thought, I bust my femur. I can't have bust my femur. And I'm feeling, and I'm thinking, is it that I'm trying to feel and squeeze and see if there's any lumps sticking out? No. And I got off the track and passed out. It must have been painful. And next thing I wake up,
Must
Must have been.
I wake up on the stretcher, French, and of course it had been wet and they'd put the old mud to the side, you know, and it had dried, baked. And I'm on this stretcher and I've looked, opened my eyes and thinking, oh, I've got this leg and I'm holding it and I'm thinking, oh, this is murder. And the marshal on the left corner fell over
Oh,
and the stretchers, and all I remember was the stretcher
go.
tilted like that,
Oh.
but I don't remember it hitting the floor and I'm out again. Next time I wake up, I'm in the ambulance, lying in the ambulance, still holding this leg, thinking, this is not my femur that's broke. It's going to be all right, this is. And I'd got a mate with me now because I could afford to give him some food. And he come to the back and looked and tried to find out what hospital I was going to. I said, don't forget to pick me Startman and prize money up.
You're going to need that.
God.
That hip thing, I was with Tortelli when he did his hips.
Oh,
And
painful.
I was up in the medical thing and they're giving me all his gear. and they're asking me all, and I'm like, I'm just this goggle guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know him and all. I'm not,
Yeah.
And they're trying to put it back in. And Tortelli's a tough old boy,
Yeah.
and he was screaming.
Squealing, yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can watch this
No.
because knowing how tough he is, I'm like, that must really,
Yeah.
really hurt.
And but mine had fractured and broke both the balls off as well. Not my balls. but
No,
those-
just to
the
clarify
balls
that
of the-
for any
just the balls
confusion
of the
with
hip.
Roger's
So
balls
they
are still
weld
intact.
what they do, they welded one together, bone graft, and they took the other one out again. They put it in France. I got back to the UK and said, they'll sort me out when I'm in the UK. And he said, oh, we've got to take that back out and screw it together.
And the medical at the track, they used to be like students, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't even.
No.
They weren't. They were
They
just.
weren't proper medics. No. Get you off to hospital. No. So I had to come back in an aeroplane with Smithies.
Well, that was enough
Missus.
to definitely wind it up, I should imagine. Obviously, you still suffer with that now.
Yeah, well, I've just had that one replaced. I
Yeah.
had one replaced, and another one will get done soon.
Yeah.
So so that's
that's-
me. And that was the end of my career.
That was, but
April
when did
85.
the actual, like, how long after the injury did you then make that call? Because obviously you
Oh,
can,
no,
lie,
you-
there,
you
you
never-
can lie there in
as a
hospital
ro-
bed and go,
yeah.
some people just go,
I'm
that's
done.
me done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Or was it-
no. It
That
was,
was
it
a
was never
longer-
that. It was like, first thing in hospital. How long?
Yeah, you were
You
keen
know,
to get
when
back.
can I get back on?
Yeah.
You know, and one of but like then it started. I had 6 weeks in hospital in the UK. There's stories to that I can't tell because it's
And what age would you have been at that point then?
too old. Yeah,
Right
85.
answer.
We'll
Right
work it out.
answer.
34. I was
Yeah,
too old.
yeah.
Too old. You know, it's
You
not.
don't
not
heal, and it starts.
yeah,
affecting
you don't.
the rest
You
of your
don't,
life,
you don't
don't
bounce,
you?
do you? You don't
You ain't
bounce
getting any
like you
better.
used to.
You know what I mean?
How long the process was it to, like, the initial thoughts of stopping to actually making the call?
No, that was it. When I come out of hospital,
You
It was-
literally
But
went-
one of the first things I've got to do when they put me out was do a double jump, and I did it at Worcester.
Yeah.
I did it at one of the Worcester tracks, just because I used to run training schools there with Tim Matthews, and I thought it had just, you couldn't let that bit go,
No.
and I got to go and do it. And, I shoot myself, but I did it, and that was it.
We'll come on to your life after racing in the next
Well,
episode.
that's not a perfect way to wrap up because we're talking about
You be
Well,
like
I mean,
that for
hospital
6 weeks.
horrendous injury.
Perfect finish.
But like, yeah, that's
Well, if that's when you're done, you're done.
That's
You're done.
motocross.
You're done. You're done. But you had a
Yeah,
good career though.
motocross.
You had a good career.
Christ. Yeah, get on 19 years, loved it.
Yeah.
Take the pain out, I'd have loved it even more.
Very modest about it. I still can't quite believe how you just kind of I finished fifth. I'm happy with that. Like, you got a throwaway comment.
Oh, I got on the podium at a world
Yeah.
championship. You know,
Yeah.
I did twice. I got in Belgium as well.
Nice.
It was good.
But in many ways, your career in the sport after racing has probably been even more successful than your racing. I would
I'd
say.
say so. We'll
I
talk
probably
about
know better. Yeah.
Got a lot of experience though. So we're going to get onto that in the next Roger Harvey episode. Before we sign off, again, everybody at Talon, thanks for the support. If you're going to buy some Talon products, don't forget, contact them and use the code TORQ15, TORQ15, and you will get a 15% discount.
Doc White gloves if you want to not have scabby hands.
Yeah,
They are the way to go.
the black ones. they're
Stealth.
they're stealth.
These are the thick,
But
the
that's
new
the
thick
new
orange ones are
orange
great.
ones.
These are the medical grade ones, which is great for like your air filters if you're going to use them once or twice. These are your parts washer ones, and
Yeah.
you don't need them chemicals on your hands. Trust me, I am like
Well, this is your area of expertise. I don't.
I'm
as
like
much
a
as
bitch.
I've got
I'm
office
like a
hands
bitch
now, I don't-
nowadays with stuff on my hands. I can't. I've had years and years of brake fluid and suspension fluid. I just don't like it now. I'm sitting itching like a leper.
It's it's a good job that these guys.
These guys are looking after us. They're
Yeah.
quality.
So thanks for that.
Thanks for them.
Right, before we very quickly sign off, how are we up to speed with you? Obviously, you're doing a couple of events this year, Wobbs. A couple of little low key events.
Couple of little things, yeah. A couple of
Tell
club
us about
races.
it.
We got obviously
So we're getting to a point where riders' names are starting to be filtered out for who's racing at Fox Hill at the VMXDN.
Yeah. We got the American team like finally buttoned down. So it's been quite hard, really.
Okay, so who
because
is
like Ryan Villapoto is coming, but he didn't want to race the team race because it's a bit too competitive. He didn't want to put the 4 months in. Doesn't want to risk killing himself. He wants to come and have it. So I'm like, you're only coming if you're racing, kid. So he's racing the Evo.
Wobbs, king of the contract.
No, Dave, you got to negotiate with these people. But Ryan's golden. He enjoys
he's
it. He
brilliant.
wants to have
Yeah.
a ride round. He looks after us.
Yeah.
Oh, don't know. So Ryan's riding the Evo Plus class, which is, you know, he's in that. So we're building a bike for that. It's his old bike. And then we've got Mike Brown coming back. We've got a nice bike for him. We've got somebody else building a bike for him for the plus 50 class and the 125 class because he was racing 3 classes. But you can't put one of these. You can't build one of these bikes to go out and do 8 races on a weekend with somebody like Brownie.
So hold on. So that's already more bikes than you said you were going to.
Yeah,
do.
I
So
said
you
I'd only
to me
do
last
2.
year, categorically said to me last year, I'm not doing so many.
Not doing
year.
this again.
Seems like you're already doing more.
It's more now. Yeah,
Yeah, brilliant.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man of his word.
Man of his
yeah.
word.
So we got Brownie on a 250 Yam. We got Villapert on a 250 Yam, not in the team race. We got Andrew Short on another 250 Yam we're building, and then we got a new guy this year called Sean Lapinovich, who's really quick. You may have not heard of him, but he Brownie's recommendation, so he's coming. So I'm trying to find another Yamaha for him. If not, we can put him on a Kawasaki from last year. That's okay. And then we've got Leon Caps, who's Tommy's.
I've seen him for a long time.
Yeah, so he's Ryan's man friend.
Yeah.
So we were trying to build him a Yamaha. Unfortunately, the Yamaha we're trying to build him, we'd robbed that many bits out of it. It was just not having it. So now we've started a CR500 build for him. And then we got Tommy Searle, obviously racing the Kawasaki's again. So we need to redo the cylinders and the heads to give
Same
it a
British team, right?
bit more top end. British team, the
It's
same.
Searle, Pocock, Anderson.
Cern,
again.
Pocock, Anderson, and then the American teams, Brownie, Short, Lapinovich.
Great to see
Yeah.
the Italians.
And then I've got another one. I've got
Because they didn't
Chico.
really put a team in previously. Have
No,
they?
they've
we had
done.
Chico come.
They've
over.
gone from nothing. They've gone from Chico having a ride round to 2 teams. So now we've got
Excellent.
Philip Arts has put his team in, which is Team Italian Blue, I think they call themselves. And then we've got Team Italian White, which is headlined by
Giodi.
Giodi. And he's got, I can't remember the second guy's name. He's quite a name, isn't he?
I can't
Help
help
me
you
out
on
there.
that. I don't
Anyway,
know.
he's a Grand Prix rider. So he wanted to race the team race. So they asked if we could build him a bike. So that's another bike we're building. So we've got a few going on. It is quite stressful.
Then we've got not necessarily in the team race. We've got Kurt's riding it, Robbie Heron's riding it, Carl
Yeah.
Nunn, Jack
Yeah.
Brunel,
Oh my God, the names. Yeah. I mean, it's just, so who's
Thomas
who?
Covington, Brian Jorgensen. I was speaking to him the other day.
York is
He's
coming,
doing it.
yeah. Thomas Covington's riding it. He's the monster guy, isn't he? His dad's a big cheese at Monster, and that right engineering race is just stacked. It's like the who's who of British Championships, with your
Looking forward to it.
with your Grimshaws and your just they're all in there. It's just it's like a who's who. It's like a. I
And
mean,
now-
you've been Roger. It's a proper thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
like- it's
I'll be
good.
there
Back to what-
again, hopefully this
Our
year.
target was to get it back to like 90s motocross.
Yeah, yeah.
And we've done that.
Yeah,
Like when
exactly.
Tommy won his race, it took him 15 minutes to get back to his truck.
Yeah.
Well,
It's brilliant.
It hasn't been like that for years, has it?
Just hell of an atmosphere. It's the typical Fox Hills atmosphere, isn't it?
It hasn't been like
Let
that
me
for
just
years.
dive in here because I'm just going to highlight Roger's experience in events. Right, last year I saw him. He found a little sneaky way in to beat all the queues last year, didn't you? You came in.
Yeah, I'm
across the
keeping
back
it
of the
quiet.
field.
So
Yeah, no, I mean he paid his way to get in. I'm not saying that.
he didn't.
But did he not?
he phoned Wobbs and organised it.
But I saw
All those lifts to the
biking
Grand
across,
Prix
weren't
for
you?
you.
Yeah,
that's a
I just come in on my e-bike.
He
we
knows
park-
how to,
we
he knows
park
how
there.
to deal with back markers. and that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a bit of a
Park a few
traffic
miles.
issue last year, but we fixed that for this year,
Yeah.
so don't worry about that.
yeah, that'll be good, Wobbs.
And the beer
that'll be
tent. We
good.
fixed the beer
That'll be good. What you made the beer tent bigger?
No, we just took the sides off it.
Was that allows for
it.
growth?
Exactly.
It's only a cover now. It's only a shelter.
There you
And
go.
then so after that, we've now bought the Farley September,
Yeah.
which was originally the VMXDN race. So we bought that only because we didn't want anybody else buying it and doing a good job with it. So we thought we'd just have that as a little. It's never going to be Foxhill. Foxhill's Foxhill. It's never going to be. If we can get Farley back to what it was in 17, 18, 19, 3,000 or 4,000 people there,
Yeah.
we'd be over the moon with it.
Yeah.
That's what we want. It's not. It's not a replacement because Foxhill's Foxhill. and
Yeah.
You're not gonna. It's not going to be. But it's coming on well. I mean, we got some
Saw
really
you
good
down there at
stuff.
the weekend in a field full of buttercups.
It was long grass.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, but by the time we get there, there's 3 other races been on there before us, so it'll all be mowed and it'll be nice. And it's quite a weird place when you go there when there's nothing going on. Same as everything, but Farley is a green field circuit. There's no start gate. There's no nothing. It's nothing. It's
You
just-
didn't
nothing
find
there.
part of Dave Tomasick's foot, did you?
No.
By any chance?
No.
But when
Or
you
when
stand,
he went through the fence.
but when you stand there and you realise how many people were there
Yeah,
in the 80s
yeah.
Grand Prix,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Amazing.
mean, absolutely mind-boggling.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of people
Great.
there,
Great.
and obviously health and safety wasn't such a big thing.
No.
There'll be pictures of it on his toilet wall if you want to
There
go.
will be
I
some.
bet there might be.
Yeah, probably
If you
is.
want to go to
Probably-
my toilet, you mean?
But they were big dudes. They were big dudes, though, weren't they?
They were massive.
They were
You know,
massive.
massive.
I mean,
museum, Rog.
Yeah.
People come around
Yes.
and view toilets.
I'm going to guess it must have been 50,000 there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
They were
Absolutely.
massive. They were good dudes. But we're going to get back
Yeah, we
to-
had good British riders, didn't we? A lot better, like Grand Prix.
Well, we'll
Top
talk
dog
about that in the
race.
next episode.
We will indeed.
All right.
We'll finish this one off there. Rog, thanks for your time, but we're going to come back with Roger with another episode.
think
Thanks
we
to
got-
everybody that helps us out. Thanks for Ben the dog for sitting still and not knocking over all the camera
he's done
equipment this time. And we'll see you soon. Always a pleasure. We'll be back with another Talk Moto. Remember, if you've got any questions or any info, you can email us at info@talkmoto@gmail.com or just hit us up on the socials. We're on Spotify, Apple Play, YouTube, and of course all over social media. So,
And if there's anybody you want us to speak to, just throw it out there and we'll do the
well,
best we
we've
can to get
actually
them
got
dealt.
some questions for Rog in the next
Do we?
episode.
Happy
Yeah,
days.
so we'll do that then. Right, we're out of here. We're going to take a break. We'll see you again soon.